All right, moving on to the Rookie of the Year. It's maybe in February it was a little bit more marginal between Chet and Wemby, but I think as time has gone on, it's a little bit more of a favorite towards Wemby. I don't really know if anyone's even mentioning Chet anymore. In my opinion, it's a little annoying, but it seems like Wemby's being ordained as the next face of the league, kind of like LeBron James was. Which may be frustrating fans, may not be, but I think he's going to end up winning Rookie of the Year. He's got the stats, of course, but he's becoming one of those players where it's every other game. He's the first player with this, that, the other thing. He's the first player with this. And I'm going to run you some math real quick because a lot of them are very impressive. Mm-hmm. So hold on. Bear with me if you're watching. Truly listen to all these first I'm about to tell you because while it's annoying he's being ordained as the next face of the league, because I think it would just naturally happen, try to truly appreciate what he's actually doing right now, aside from maybe he's getting too much annoying coverage for a losing team or whatever. He is the first player in NBA history to register at least 30 points, 15 rebounds, 5 assists, 5 threes, and 5 blocks in a game. And I think that sounds arbitrary to throw those together, but think about what he did. Wilt Chamberlain can post something like that, but it wouldn't be with 5 threes in a game. I think that's kind of like the personification of the new NBA center. Yeah. So he's the youngest player to have a 2020 game. He's the first rookie with 150 blocks, 150 assists, 50 steals in a season since San Antonio's Tim Duncan in 1997-1998. He's the youngest player to tally a 5-5 stat line. He's had the first 40-20 games since Shaquille O'Neal in 1993. He leads the NBA in blocks. He leads the NBA in blocks per game, so he's essentially even probably a Defensive Player of the Year candidate. And Sunday was the 7th time this season Wemby has blocked at least 7 shots in a game. His season and career high came in February against the Toronto Raptors when he batted away 10 shots in a 23-point road win. Might as well throw in that he won the game. His team is basically last in the West or whatever. Doesn't matter. But when I mentioned earlier being like the personification of the modern big man and the modern center that can do it all inside, he can pass, of all those stats that I just listed, all being very impressive, I think one of the more impressive things is his pull-up 3 percentage from 3 has been as high as 47.9% over the past 20 games. So that's him handling the ball and just pulling up from 3. That's
who you're talking about?
Wembanyama.
Okay.
So he's pulling moves, coming off screens, and pulling up from 3 off the dribble as like a 7'5" center and drilling it and that's essentially unguardable.
No, I like him. I think he's got a future in the game. The only thing about him is he's losing. Okay, supposedly has a great coach. I've never been a big fan of Popovich, but he's losing. He does seem to be a little bit of a gamer, though, and he does get up for big games. And we do see the highlights and everything like that, but then you see the shooting percentages, the 3-point, I don't know what it is now, but it was hovering below 30%.
That's early in the season. So that's the other cool thing to note is if you look at his percentages earlier, like he was taking some wild, crazy shots early on, and it almost looked like, okay, well, was this guy just think he's back in France in the European League? Like he's improved so much over time. It's crazy, and this might be the worst version we're seeing of him.
Yeah, no, I do like little things. Like I said, I always look at how does a player do in big moments. That to me is more defining than anything else. And he does seem to get up, when he's playing against a good player, when he's playing in an important game, when he plays against Chet, that type of thing. But then it's like, but
block the shot to win the game. That's coming up big.
Still don't, but how is he losing so much in all the games that we don't watch?
He has no team around him. Well, his best guard is like Trey Jones. That's it. Well, and essentially, aside from him, can you name another player? Name another player on the Spurs aside from Wembanyama.
But okay, I do like him, and I also like that he doesn't care if he gets dunked on. And I thought that was important. That always bothers me when players just walk away from trying to block a shot because they're worried about getting dunked on. And it's like, hey, it's part of the game. Try to block the shot. And he tries. Mm-hmm. And so you got everyone there trying to dunk on him, and he's up for the challenge. So I do like that about him. The only thing I'll say about it is Chet's winning. I just like Chet's game. He just seems to be a gamer. He's got it all going on. He reminds me a little bit, though, of two really great, really coordinated, really talented, excellent defender, excellent ball handler players that were 7'4" and above, that kind of faded because they obsessed with their skills, okay? Ralph Sampson and Sean Bradley, okay? Go back and look at the highlight reels. They're the same thing. They were tall guys that could jump and could handle the ball and could pass and could do a lot of things, and they never became winners. You know what I mean? And so I don't know if Popovich is a great coach anymore. I don't know if he understands today's game. I know people will laugh at that, but I haven't seen him do anything. I think he kind of ticked off everybody on the Olympic team who was playing with, yesterday's game, and they all felt like they could have done a lot better with a different system. So he might get held back, and he might languish. So we'll see what happens. Right now, I would take Chet. I like him.
No, yeah, you would take Chet, but I think Popovich is taking this year, like I said early in the season, Wemby was like out of control, pivoting off 1 foot, shooting fadeaways, air ball, whatever.
Yeah.
He's taking this year to develop him into potentially, hopefully, when the team actually gets some players,
and
he's coming back. Right.
He's doing the same playbook, tanking this year, getting 2 number 1 overall picks, and number 2, number 3, and getting 2 superstars.
It's rebuilding.
Yeah,
to me.
But that's how he got Robinson and Popovich. I mean Robinson and Duncan. He got Robinson, and I think Robinson got injured or something, so he had another 15 and 65 year, and then he got Duncan. You know what I mean? And so he's doing the same thing again.
Yeah, no, I don't think it's right to compare Wembanyama to like any player we've ever seen before.
But it is.
No, it's not. Even all the stats I just read.
They're the same. I know. I agree.
Physically,
he's
they're
much
not really
better. He's doing things. Samson did do well in
but
the first
I wouldn't
couple of
take
years.
coordinate. Like they're not. They are not the same to compare physically if you're talking about what height and weight. But that's like where it ends.
Height, weight, and they could jump, and they had ball skills, and they were not uncoordinated. They were different. They were even more.
They were different, right?
Yeah, Bradley and Sampson were the same skill-wise and athletically as Wembanyama, whatever his name is. I'm just
Could they shoot further than like? Did they ever shoot further from 7 feet from the rim?
It might have even been before 3-point line. I don't know.
That's what I'm saying.
But they didn't. But big guys didn't shoot back then.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. Is a guy who's 7'5" pulling up 47% from 3 is much different than anything we've ever seen before,
right.
ever.
It didn't exist back then.
Right.
Big guys didn't shoot. Their problem was, they wanted to. But we'll see. I'm not putting him. I'm just saying.
In terms of the Rookie of the Year race, I think it's unfortunately kind of already decided because of all that I listed before, all the firsts that he just keeps collecting over and over and over again. But long term, what I like is it seems like the West is kind of in good hands, and you saw it with the mentality of both players after Chet missed pretty much all of last season. He hasn't missed one game this entire season.
Yeah.
And Wemby, call him whatever you want, he's a competitor. You saw him in the skills competition with his face like, guys, I'm here to win. When Anthony Edwards was shooting with his left hand, you saw his face like, well,
no, he's
guys, are you kidding me? Like, what are we doing here? Chet, I think in the long term, like I was saying earlier, where Shai pretty much had the same season last year in terms of stats. If you copy and pasted those numbers to this year, it would be the same. The only difference is the seed of the team. Who unlocked that team? Chet Holmgren. You know what I mean?
I agree.
He's totally not the same type of body type as Wemby, but put him on the 3-point line. All of a sudden, that gives Shai so much more space than he otherwise would have. Every other player now has a lot more room to move.
Yeah.
They're driving, they're dishing, and on top of which, Chet is playing like more efficient than a lot of other
Yeah.
people we've seen. So, I mean, the impact he's had this year compared to last season. So last season they went 40 and 42. This is before Holmgren. Last season they went 40 for 42. They were 24th in field goal percentage and they were 17th in 3-point percentage. On defensive end, they were 22nd in blocks and 4th in steals. But their guards have always been great defensively. Even last year, I think Shai was got a steal and a half a game. This year, 53 and 25 as of today. They're a 3 seed. They are 3rd in field goal percentage compared to last year's 24th. This year, they're 1st in 3-point percentage compared to last year's 17th. They are 1st in blocks and 2nd in steals. And that's just, there's other players on the team, but in terms of opening them up offensively and defensively and allowing every other player to reach their full potential, Chet might not win Rookie of the Year because of all the stat lines Wemby's putting up. But long term, I'm not saying one will be more worth than the other, but I don't think you can go wrong with either one of those guys.
No, and here's the other thing. Now, what would Chet be doing if he was on San Antonio, and what would Wemby be doing if he was on Oklahoma City? They'd probably reverse their statistics. You know what I mean?
Yeah, maybe.
It wouldn't be all about it.
I wouldn't go that far. I mean, some of these, I would not
He'd still have
put it on Chet to be putting up those types of statistics. I think the Spurs will probably be in the same seed they are right now with Chet, and Chet would be maybe averaging more points, and his usage rate would be much higher. I think Wemby's usage rate right now is 31.3%, only behind Luka, Giannis, and Shai. He's 5th in usage the entire. So I think Chet would probably get that same usage rate and put up more stats, but I wouldn't say that it would be a direct
But I
translation.
see Chet as more of a team fit in and a team player. And, if you want to compare these two as Russell versus Chamberlain, whereas, the one guy will probably end up doing a lot better over the course of his career. And in terms of winning, and the other guy will probably have more stats. We'll see what happens. I'll talk to you in 20 years.
Yeah, the point is they are both. It's unfortunate. It's like both these guys are. When I have grandkids, I think everyone in the NBA is pretty much just going to be Wembanyama and Chet and everything like that. But they're the absolute personification of like the modern big man that can absolutely do it all. And because they're so tall and big and can shoot so efficiently, they open it up for everybody on the court. And that's where the NBA is moving. I don't know where it started, but I guess it started with like Nowitzki, even though he couldn't handle as well. But I think the original Chet and the original Wemby, it's probably like Kevin Durant.